Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table because we're ready.
Okay, things that you want to make sure that those things continue and can sustain. But everything happens for a reason, man. And so to answer your question, man, it's hard to put a number to it, man. But there's been I've been blessed with some other opportunities, and I've made some real estate investments that are doing pretty well, and actually, made the sale of one of me and some of my business investors sold a property earlier this year. And so things is unfolding on a lot of different levels, man. And you know anything about me, Mel, a lot of times people, and it's no offense to nobody in the individual styles, but I think we've been taught and conditioned to think that we have to always think so one-dimensional, right? And be so siloed and so boxed in. And I was just meeting with somebody yesterday cool guy who I met some time back, and he's had some career shifts, and as well as myself. So I said, let's jump on a call, man, and just kind of reconnect. And one of the first questions is kind of, so what are you doing? What type of consulting are you doing? And obviously, my specialty obviously is, leadership and kind of team building. It's kind of the sweet sauce. But I said to him, man, really, I don't really like to present the services that way. You know what I'm saying? Because I think with the wealth of experiences that I've been able to learn from both for-profit and nonprofit, working in the insurance industry, to working in retail and sales, the principles that I've learned are so transferable that I'd be cutting myself short to just say that I'm just doing HR consulting. I just want to do E&I, because I've been able to develop a wealth of experiences, man, through all these different spaces that I've been in. And I think I said this to you before, man, that my motto has always been, when people say, what do you do? I say, what do you need done? You know what I mean? Where's the pain points?
I remember that.
So we're still living by that mantra, man. But,
I like that.
Things that, we are starting to laser in on some specific things, specifically to consulting and some other areas, but still keeping the world open, man, to the options, because like I said, a lot of the skills and lessons that we've learned, they're transferable. If you can sell one product and you understand the science of people and understand how to create an experience for the end user, that those skills are transferable across any service, against any product, any industry. It's just being able to kind of translate it and apply it to that project you're working on.
So would you say, in that sense, are you saying that collaborating and network communicating are, if not the strongest thing to do in business, as a business owner, founder, however you want to put it? Because
yeah, man, I think I would agree with you, Mel, for sure. Collaboration is huge, man. I think we hear that word used a lot, but real intentional collaboration takes work. You know what I mean? And oftentimes it can feel like it'd be easier for you to just do it yourself. But when you really understand the spirit of collaboration, right, and actually having people that have diverse experiences and backgrounds at the table, I think you can kind of save yourself some of them long-term hurdles that will pop up along the line if you do it right in the beginning. So I have to agree with you on that one, man. Collaborating, network, those are definitely huge factors when it comes to building a successful team and a successful business, for sure.
Yeah, because I kind of got that from you, it's because your business ventures, you in a particular know of some of the things, but man, like just like you, I can't do everything in my at my business. My businesses, so it's like I'll go crazy, man. I'll be bald with gray hair already from the stress.
No, it's real, man.
But I like how you're not just able to differentiate between each position, but you're able to do that with each particular person. And I
Yes.
feel like that is, oh man, that's so powerful, especially for me being in, the media business. I have to be flexible. Like
Mm,
we have to be able to adapt in an instant, but in a way that makes everybody comfortable.
right.
Nobody want to sit there and be nervous having a conversation. It's awkward. It makes the whole place not want to be there. So hearing you actually state that uh, about the way that you try kind of transition, I feel like it's important. We don't talk about it that much because we live in a society. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but we need to collaborate more.
No,
In
for
the
sure.
business era like we live in, our counterparts have been doing it way far longer.
Yep.
Yes, they are ahead, but that doesn't mean that we can't advance.
And it's enough
So
money, man. It's enough opportunity to go around, man. I've never had that mindset, man. If a collective win is a win for me. If I see Mel win, like I've been seeing you moving, bro, since we chopped it up last time. And every time I see you move, I'm like, that does something for me. You know what I'm saying? I actually thrive off of that. So I've never been had that mentality, man. Like I don't know where that comes from, but even for example, with me and my consulting business, man,
yeah.
I've been really intentional about bringing in other people to subcontract some of the work with, right? If
Mm,
I'm working with a client who has HR issues and I have some experience in HR and have done some work in that space, but that's not necessarily my sweet spot, right?
right.
But I understand business and I understand people and I understand what it takes to be a successful leader within the organization. So one thing I'm about is like, let's spread the love, man. If I can bring in, if I'm speaking to somebody who has some complex issues in HR or they're working in a specific industry,
Yeah.
like in the hospitality industry, then I'm going to bring in one of my people within my network that is experienced and well versed in that industry so they can speak to the industry specifics and then I can help you kind of tie it all together, right?
Right.
Um, so
Right.
it's enough to go around, man. I could have looked at those opportunities and said, hey, let me just do this by myself and keep the bag to myself kind of thing. But
Right.
the value that it brings, man, when you talk about really being intentional with collaboration and being able to share that space with somebody else who has a different background and different experiences, it just makes you much stronger and it makes the team much stronger. And my brand has specifically been built on that. So if you hire Scales Consulting, you can for sure expect for me to be there, but don't be surprised if I bring in one of my colleagues or somebody else within my network that kind of has that specialized lens on your specific industry.
Hmm. That answered the questions. All right. All right. So beyond the consultant, beyond the real the property building ownership, whatever you want to call it, I thought you was doing something in construction. Or so, are you
Yeah,
still?
man. I was actually gonna touch on that, man. So since we talked, a lot has transpired, man. Oh, man, we've been moving all
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
place, man.
yeah. I'm curious. I'm over here
Yep.
scratching my noggin, man.
So I was going to touch on that, man. So what you speaking of is the birth of Black Lake companies, right? So Black Lake companies was
Mm,
started about a year ago, and I was approached by uh, close contact of mine and does a lot of great work in the community, working with specifically minority businesses getting access to capital. And we had been muddling over some type of opportunity that we could, business opportunity that we could collaborate on for a number of years, really since we met. And this individual has a long background being a business owner in the construction space, originally from Ohio, and decided to kind of transition into more supporting other businesses. But with his experience and within our network, we saw a unique opportunity. So as you mentioned before, Mel, this, a lot of the models I think that have been um, used right in other communities and in other ethnic groups,
yeah.
we haven't maybe explored as well as maybe others. And I'm specifically speaking of what I like to call kind of this enterprise philosophy, and that's going to take me back to how Black Lake Companies was birthed. So Black Lake Companies is basically a parent company for several other companies that fall under the umbrella. It's no different than how is it? I don't know. Is it ABC? They own ESPN, Disney. I
Yeah,
forget
yeah,
one of
NASDAQ
them.
and yeah,
Right.
okay.
So these models have been proven in other areas, and we said we think this is a perfect opportunity to implement such a model here. So Black Lake Companies was birthed. There's 9 owners of Black Lake Companies, all people of color, and each owner owns 11% of Black Lake Companies. And
Mm,
then under the
okay.
Black Lake Companies umbrella, there's several other companies in which each owner has a majority stake in, and then a portion of the ownership from those companies feeds back into Black Lake Companies. So this has been a proven model to generate wealth. I mean, we see it in a number of industries, from construction being one, to media.
Yep.
So Black Lake Companies was birthed. We brought on 9 owners who everybody has a unique skill set in their various communities. So we got an amazing team of various owners. I actually started one of the subsidiary companies that falls under the Black Lake Companies umbrella, and that's Black Lake Logistics. So we started a trucking and logistics company about 3 months ago, and it's the whole goal there is to really be able to build up the business in a way to where we're providing unique and innovative services again in the trucking and logistics industry, but also be able to work with some of those other minority and Black contractors. I don't want to even say minority, we'll say people of color and underserved, and really help them scale up their businesses, right? Again, when you talk about the network and the people who and the opportunities and potential contracts that we have available to us, a lot of the people that I know who had already been in that industry hadn't really been exposed to that level of partnership. So thus Black Lake Logistics and Trucking was started. We have an amazing opportunity, got some projects on the floor already with our prize and some other pretty exciting projects that we're looking to help spearhead here locally under
Mm,
the Black Lake Companies umbrella. And the whole goal is that we feed, if the services as it relates to trucking and logistics often intertwine with somebody who needs construction services. So how can we be referrals to the other businesses to help build
I
wealth
man,
as a whole
I
under the
could
Black Lake
see it.
umbrella?
I see it. I see everything connecting, how you put it. Um, because if I'm just going off a limb, just off my head, but um the consultant business helps actually builds the umbrella
Right,
for everything else within the whole enterprise. And so each company actually needs that company that's that sister company.
right,
So it's not like you just have a company that just there without
right,
any type of, beneficial for anything else within that enterprise. Each one actually needs the other.
for
So it's a
sure.
circulatory system.
There you go.
So man, bro, you stumbled upon a gem, because a
Yeah,
lot of
man.
people don't see it like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got to have a certain mindset, man. I've always kind of had the mindset. Some people see an opportunity, and the first thing they think about is how the million ways it will not work. You know the type of people I'm talking about, man. They see, and
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be offensive to nobody, but that's not the mindset that I have, man. There's challenges in every industry. We know that
right.
the trucking and logistics industry is going through its own set of challenges right now. And, as I entered into the industry, there were several people within my network like, man, maybe now is not the best time to enter that industry. But I'm always a glass half full kind of person, right? And
Mhm.
you got to do your research right and understand the market, right? That's extremely
That's
important
number
that you
one.
do that. But you know, you gotta always have your own way of looking at things, man. And for me, I'm no stranger to seeing a challenge and wanting to overcome it. instead of looking at let that as a roadblock and going the other direction. So you
Mm.
throw a curveball at me, man, we're gonna figure out a way around it. Because there is a lot of opportunity in the industry, but you got to find that niche market. A lot of the trucking industry, they made a lot of money during the pandemic. When a lot of things shut down, that was one industry that continued, man. And a lot of them, I think, had got a little spoiled with the kind of the influx of opportunity that they received during the pandemic. So now that things have slowed down and kind of even went back a little lower to even where they were before the pandemic,
Right.
people see it as a challenge. But you just got to find out what your niche is, man, and really pour into that. So we're
Mm.
looking to secure. One of the goals is to purchase our first truck before July, and we're gearing up for some opportunities again this summer, transporting various goods across the state. So we're looking at kind of doing some more state and regional transportation
Oh,
first
okay.
before we start
Okay.
to branch out on a national level.
Oh, okay. I was just about to ask, are you already have like out of state type of deals going on yet? But it makes more sense to get home base first. You get what I'm saying? It's a lot of some people that I've spoken with and I help guide or mentor always try to hit the biggest thing first.
Right.
I'm like, hold on real quick, pause. Let's say you get this big thing. Do you know what you're supposed to do with it? And they be like, well, I can do this and that. Well, why don't you take that step by step
Right.
build, so when you do get this massive opportunity, you know how to disperse it. You know how to who
For
to work
sure.
with, how to talk. You know what I mean? Because you could, as we call it, fumble the bag.
For
So when
sure.
you fumble that bag,
You
there's
may
no
not get that
redo most of
opportunity
the time.
again. Yeah. That's for real, man. You were just making me think of something when you were talking about um I forget what it was, but basically you was making me think of a quote or a recent interview with Giannis Antetokounmpo the other day, Greek Freak, when they
Yeah.
lost the last game in the playoffs, and they asked him a question in the post game interview about, so was this whole season a failure? Did you hear
No,
that
I didn't hear
exchange?
that one. I
Yeah,
didn't.
so I guess one of the reporters had asked him the question, and the same reporter asked him the same question last year. And I thought he gave a good analogy, although, I didn't agree with everything he said. I thought it was an interesting perspective where his response was, so you go to work every day, uh, and, and, and I'm sure one of your goals is to get a promotion. Did you get a promotion this year? And the guy says no. And he says, so was your whole year a failure then? And,
Mm.
and I'm remembering now what made me bring up this quote is because one of the things he said as he was speaking with the reporter is everything has a step-by-step process, man. And you don't always, you're not going to reach that high level of success without going through the hardships. When you look at a lot of times, some of the most successful people, they were in the worst positions right before things turned for them, right? You talk
Oh
about
yeah.
people like Tyler Perry, who's been, no, he hasn't been quiet about, and not afraid to tell people about his struggles before he reached a level of success, and sleeping in his car. And you talk about, people like Jay-Z who lived a whole different way of life. And I mean, it's countless people who had to go through this process before they reach that level of success. But one of the ways that you can ensure that you're on the right path, and I think what you were hitting on, Mel, is like having that long-term vision, but then identifying what are the steps and the manageable tasks that I can start working on
Right.
that's going to get me to that promised land, if that's what you want to call it. And that's one thing we do at Scales Consulting is helping organizations and businesses kind of break down that long-term vision into what are some manageable tasks and what are the obstacles, what are the issues, opportunities, and challenges
Excuse me.
that you can expect to experience on that way.
Right.
And it can just kind of help you be more prepared as you go on that journey.
And I'm glad that you covered that because um certain when people hear consultant, the agencies or something like that, they they put their whole heart into the agency, which you should. You want to trust that business to do you know, that particular job. However, I like when the business that you go to, the services teach you as well. Like they
Right.
just don't do it. Like you're not a just, I'm gonna just do it and you're gonna get whatever you was expecting,
Mm.
but I'm gonna make sure you keep having to pay me to come back. And
Right.
I'm like, okay.